know where this conversation that I'm going to have with you is going to go, but there is something I do want to read to you. Probably should have opened it up before I started the video. Oh yeah. So I had a friend of mine who watched my vlog. I think she said she watched it. Yeah, she did watch it. She is from the church group that I grew up in. And she says she really related to the video that I shared previously, the one about Uncle Rick and my childhood experiences, stuff like that. We had a little bit of a conversation. Her name's Jess, and known her for a long time. We haven't really been super tight or nothing ever, but we always got along real good, and we liked hanging out with each other at camps and at the feast sites and stuff. But I want to read the messages that I sent her. I'm not going to read her messages just because not that I have to ask for anyone's permission, but just out of respect, because I don't know if she's trying to combat some of the issues that she feels that are in the church that we grew up in, and in her opinion, real issues like drug addiction and the way people are treated and that kind of stuff, and substance abuse is primarily the ones that she brought up. That she has come to understand that she's really disappointed in how the church that she goes to, how they view people who deal with that stuff, and that they don't get help, and or they don't get help or love in the same way, and that the attention and the kind of the focus of giving love and care is given to older people who are ill, but not the young people. So she really is aware of that and wants to bring more of that into the church that she belongs to, because she feels like the young people are getting neglected. And so we had she sent me that, and since she messaged me, I felt comfortable clearly opening up a bit more about my own experiences growing up in UCG, United Church of God. And I kind of didn't really hold back in my response, which is pretty cool, because usually anytime that someone tries to talk to me about no one really asks me, why don't you want to be a part of it anymore? No one really asks me, and I think it's because, this is my own assumption, but I think it's because they're afraid of what I'm going to say, and that they know or believe already that they're going to disagree with what I have to say. And as I said before, I am lost And so they already disagree with me anyways, because I left and changed my mind or became something different than what I was supposed to be. So I guess that my thoughts on the way that people look at me, and of course this is all my own assumptions, and the more I'm coming out about how growing up, how I did, how it affected me, the more people are opening up to me and communicating with me about their own opinions as well in their growing up in the same church that I did, which is interesting. So for example, several months ago, I was communicating with my friend Jonathan, and it's been really cool talking to him again, off and on. Nothing like super consistent right now, but when I told him that I really just didn't agree, and I didn't feel accepted in why I felt like I was going to get judged by him, even talking to him about anything in regards to my own belief system, is because that, losing my train of thought. I don't know what I was going to say. Oh, but I guess because, maybe if I start rambling, I'll remember exactly what I was going to say. Because people in UCG, worldwide, blah, 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 I don't know what I was going to say. They view people that they're lost. I guess I already repeated that. I was afraid of talking to Jonathan about opening up to him because I almost had it. Oh, you get to see some of my ADHD in action. Because I was really sad. It makes me really sad the way that I grew up with learning and being taught and ingrained and brainwashed in my brain that other people who are outside of the church are lost or whatever, and that they're like going to hell. Not that UCG believes in hell, but that they're gonna be like, for example, I was baptized in the name of Jesus and God and the Holy Spirit, and I was baptized, and that was when I was 18, when I still attended those church services. And the fact that I got baptized, what it's taught, and how at least I grew up being told, is that someone who gets baptized and then they leave the church, those are the people that don't get a second chance. They don't get to be resurrected again. Or they don't get to be resurrected because they already had their chance on earth. And so when I made the decision to be baptized, I committed my life to God, and then that sealed my fate, in that if I stay following God in the path of UCG, and that, I don't like using the word doctrine, that doctrine, that I will be resurrected. And but for the people who don't actually get resurrected are the ones that knew God, loved God, were baptized, and devoted their lives to God, but then they turn away. And so the fact that I turned away means that I won't be resurrected. This is it, guys. I'ma die, and I'ma die forever. So that kind of, I need to get back on topic to the Jonathan thing. So I was worried about expressing that to Jonathan, expressing that I left, because of the way that he would view me. And he came back to me and he said, you know what, I'm still a part of the church, but there are so many things I disagree with, and I don't like that. I don't like the way that they talk about people outside of the church. And I was like, wow, that's really nice to hear. Thank you. That, you know, that someone, now he didn't say that he doesn't believe that I'm gonna be dead forever, or maybe that's just the way I was raised, that I'll be dead forever and I won't exist as a spirit or anything else with God when the world's tomorrow and stuff. But it was nice to hear someone who's on the inside and still goes to church say that they feel that there's so much wrong with the way that people are viewed who aren't a part of the church. That was nice. And so my friend Jess kind of reaffirmed that. She is still a part, and I hate that I'm saying the church, because I don't like that wording. It's in my text messages to her, I go into that. But it's just so habitual, because that's how it was worded all the time I grew up. I just watched this little podcast on YouTube about how I feel like I'm having a lot of trouble staying focused on the topic that I want to talk about right now, and I'm like diverging. Like, I wanted to talk about this section of it, then I'm going over here. And so maybe it's because I ate a Mediterranean green rice bowl from Panera Bread and they're good. I don't know. My brain is clearly all over. But okay, I'm not gonna try and stay focused on whatever topic I'm trying to talk about. But I'm just gonna talk, and what if it comes back up, and I recall what I was gonna say, and it comes back up as I'm flowing through the conversation, I'll talk about it. But I'm really beating myself up in my brain, because I'm like, I feel like I'm everywhere. And this is like how Aza talks to me, like, I feel like I'm rambling. I'm so sorry that I'm rambling, but I guess I just have a lot to say. So I'm just gonna spew the words. This is my canteen huckleberry. Yes, I name my canteens too, just like I name my stuffed animals. My canteen is important to me. Okay, so I'm just gonna go ahead and start reading this message. Oh, and there's one more thing. Aw, then it's weird, like, I'm telling you, it's really weird. That last video, the Uncle Rick video, I got like 10 new subscribers, like, just in one video. Like, what the heck? So that's really cool that, and I've been getting a lot of people, like, saying just so much positive things about what I'm doing, and it's really cool, and it's really a good affirmation, outside affirmation from others, to let me know that I'm being true to myself, which I already know, or doing the best I can. There are some things that I don't know if I will ever reveal to you, but I'm going to reveal most things, except for probably just a few, that only a few select people know. And if you know, you probably, if you know, if you are the super duper close to me, meaning like my sister and then my exes, you're probably the only ones who know that one little secret about me. Yeah. Another person who brought up just feeling some sadness and shame for a sec. I feel like this video is going to be really long. Yeah, this is probably going to be like a half-hour video. Oh! Another person who messaged me is my friend Stanley. And he said that he really relates to what I talked about. I'm not sure if he watched the video, but he read what I wrote. And he really relates to what I talked to in the way that he grew up as well. And That's really nice. I think he was meaning more the being controlled, extra-religious environment. I'm not entirely sure what he means, but he really related to it. So, I'm starting to get emotional. So I guess I'm just gonna read this message and then divert my attention periodically as I feel a need to say more regarding what I'm reading in my response to Jess. I hope that you can bring change to the church group that you attend. I guess for myself, I discovered it was much easier to find other places where I am less criticized and rejected rather than trying to make it into something new. And so she's trying to bring change to the church that she belongs to rather than just leaving. So she's trying to invoke change. And I didn't. For a lot of different reasons. Actually, I suppose the thought of trying to fix the issues within the congregations was just more than I could ever comprehend, because I disagree with so much of it and the way people are treated. And I never even pondered the idea of attempting to change or bring change or do something to improve the environment of UCG or Kagwa or wherever, because it was just so beyond me. Like, after experiencing growing up in it, but also you're not supposed, or it's not recommended to date people outside of the church, and the church being probably, I guess it depends for each person, but probably like outside of Worldwide or Kagwa or UCG or Living or whatever. Anyone who believes in the Sabbath keeping and the holy days and the rejection of anything old world pagan, you would want to stay with the people who believe the same things as you. The way my mom put it growing up, I guess it was my mom, is it's just easier. Like, she's known people who have been married to someone who's outside the church, and they just say it's hard because the one person wants to keep all the holy days and then the Sabbath, and the other person, they go to Sunday church, so there's like conflict. So it's like really strongly discouraged. Don't date outside the church. Guess what? This little rebel did. The only person I ever dated inside the church was Stanley. I dated Stanley, and like, I guess I don't know about his necessarily spiritual beliefs or whatever, but I don't think that I think I don't know, but I feel that he probably falls in line somewhere with how I view it. I could be wrong, but that's the only person I dated, and he was goth as fuck, and my parents did not like him, and at least, they did not really like me being friends with him. I like being friends with him. Hi, Stan. And so when I dated Josh, when I started dating Josh, I dated him a couple times, but when we started getting serious, I was 17. Actually, I was 16. And in Josh's family, Josh went to Worldwide when he was young, I think. Pretty sure. I know that his parents were a part of Worldwide. And they, and so the way that Josh put it to me, where I was like, okay, I don't really know what you mean, but he told me, he's like, you're a part of a cult, Rachel. You're a part of a cult. That's a cult. UCG Worldwide, it's a cult. And I was like, that seems like really strong, like harsh words. But so in my perspective, I guess I don't necessarily see it as a cult. I know that a lot of people who leave the church do view it as a cult. As they're coming out of it, or once they're away from it, they can view it differently, more like how I would or have. But I mean, honestly, even if it is a cult, I don't care. Like, I support cults. That's fine. If you want to be a part of a cult, and that's really strongly what you believe, and you've been brainwashed to believe that, and that's just what is right to you, and the only way, and this and that, that's fine. I support, if someone wants to say they're a part of a cult, or whatever, or, I mean, people usually don't, I guess, know they're a part of a cult if they're a part of a cult, but even if it were a cult, I'm so open-minded that I don't care. Like, I think I'm too open-minded to become a part of a cult again. But, well, not that I became a part of a cult, I grew up in it. But I don't think that, I'm just so open-minded that all religions and spiritualities and belief systems I'm completely content with and fine with. And if anyone wants to choose to believe any certain thing, that's completely fine. And I guess sometimes with cults you don't necessarily choose. I don't know. It's weird. I'm thinking about that. Was it Manson? The one who killed a bunch of people or whatever? How do you do that? How do you brainwash people into believing so strongly that they all kill themselves? But I'm gonna be for real. For real. All my videos are getting for real. But I like to think of myself as an omnist. And if you don't know the definition of an omnist, that means that you believe and respect all religions, all spiritualities. I feel that there's value that can be gained from any spirituality. And I'll probably have to make a whole nother video about this. But then again, I said I'm just gonna ramble. But I don't really want to talk about this right now. But me and Brandon talk about this a lot, that the underlying similarities amongst so many religions, I feel like I just don't want to talk about this right now, is that there's like so many core concepts that fall among so many different religions. I'm getting so off topic. That they, see, I'm shaming myself again. I'm rejecting myself. If I'm gonna ramble and be all like, all over the place, then I gotta accept myself for being rambling and be loving to myself. And so with so many spiritualities, you name it, it probably has the same kind of core beliefs. That foundationally, when you break down religions, the core concept of most all religions is love. Or maybe all religions is just love. And so I think that's pretty cool. But like I said, we're gonna do it. I'll have to do it. Another video if I feel like it. Clearly I don't feel like talking about that right now. Trying to explain that. I guess I just want to be upset rather than try and, maybe I just still feel judgment, perceived or real judgment, out of fear of expressing what I believe now comparatively to what I'm talking about. Anyways, back to the messages. Definitely just made much more sense for me to distance myself from it as I was finding other spiritual groups which made much more sense to me. And so that was when I was not little, I mean I was 17, but I started going to student union with Josh. Hey, that's nice. Sometimes I accidentally call Brandon Josh sometimes. But I almost called Josh Brandon. That's nice. But I mean, it doesn't matter. I mean, they're both people and they're both loved and wonderful people. Yeah, one time I was really mad at Brandon and kept on putting the same views that I had of my relationship with Josh on Brandon, and I actually called him Josh one time. So I was going to student union, and I went to church with my friend Sam. She was grew up in a Nazarene church, and I went with her. But I mean, I don't know. That didn't really struck me as anything besides a Sunday keeping church that age. But when I guess started going to student union, things started changing. I hope this video don't cut out because I've been talking a long time. I mean, this all started when I was like 17 or so and really progressed further when I was in my early 20s. I'll still go sometimes with my family if I'm visiting or whatnot, but most of the time when I do go to services or listen in, I just feel more rejection by the words that are said about people like me or other people's beliefs or spiritualities. It really disgusts me. It's such a sad experience for people like your boyfriend or whoever else who deals with real mental health issues and they can't feel as though they can talk about it or else they get rejected or shunned. One time I spoke, I'm talking about Mr. O'Brien, the pastor. He's known me my whole life, and a lot of the churches that my parents attended that I went to, he was one of the main ministers. One time I spoke with a minister, Mr. O'Brien, who has known me my whole life, and we had a little counseling session about my depression and the death of one of my boyfriends who killed himself, Travis. And I felt as though I was really being heard. And then a few days later, that same minister called me and told me that he wanted me to dress more modestly the next time I came to church, and that some of the other families were offended. Come as you are, my ass. It made me so sad to have opened up to someone who was going to then tell me what to do and that the way I was dressing wasn't acceptable, etc. Crazy. Can you imagine if a minister did that to you as an adult? I was probably like 18 or 19 when that happened, but if the minister called an adult they just counseled with, who was a little more adjusted to not being told what to do all the time, oh shit, haha. And so that's the end of that topic. But I'll talk about that a little bit more with something regarding my mom. Is that I sometimes if I opened up to her and I told her something that was really important to me, I remember telling her, like, why would I talk to you and tell you important things, because you then hold it against me later, like, and then I get in trouble later, so why would I open up to you? And so that's probably that's the same kind of feelings that happened with the minister. It definitely shut me down from wanting to communicate with him because I felt so rejected just because I dressed skimpily. Look, it didn't work. I still dressed the way that you were trying to prevent me from dressing. Look, I'm showing my midriff. Oh no, oh these booty shorts. Oh, but I mean I don't really do as much cleavage anymore. But mostly that's because I don't really wear push-up bras like the underwire bra thing. I have I do have a couple, but they're more comfy. But some of them bras, man, the how corsets exist still today, confining women to make them look all perfect and perky. Yeah. But that's another topic too. But so I felt rejected by the minister and by the whole church because someone was offended by the way that I dressed, probably just because my boobs were showing a little bit. Boobs! Women have boobs! That wouldn't be YouTube appropriate. I'm like, I wish I could just flash you all right now, but can't do that on YouTube. I'm not ready for that either. But I do like being a nudist. That is nice. I should walk through this desert naked. That sounds nice too. But dang, the womanly form. Man, dress modestly. Oh, here's where I get into the phrase, the church. Oh, and the phrase, the church, what does that even mean? Sure feels like a reference to the fact that all of the many, many break-off churches, and I was listening to a documentary about the worldwide as a cult from someone who left worldwide in their view, and they call it splinter churches. So break-off churches, splinter churches. The church sure feels like a reference to the fact that all of the many, many break-off churches are the one true church, and every other church out there just doesn't have it right. Do you realize how many religions are out there? Oh my goodness, so many. How could one church have it just right when there are 7 billion other people on the planet who all think they have it right? It's appalling to me how so many people can refuse to consider that if every other religion also believes that they are the one true church, and everyone else who doesn't follow their exact path is entirely lost. So that is a big portion of why I don't associate myself with UCG anymore. And I just say UCG. I know my parents go to some other church that Mr. O'Brien operates, and my sister goes to Kagwa. But I've never, ever opened up to my family, my sister. I'm sure, Mary, you have an idea of why I don't go anymore. But my parents, like, man, it's like everyone's afraid to talk to me about it. Probably because I'm afraid to talk about it. But now I'm open, working on it. But that is a huge reason why I don't associate myself with that organization anymore, because of the way that they view people who are outside of the church, and that they really, what I was taught is we were the only ones who knew the truth, and everyone else is entirely lost, and they're living in sin, and the world's guided by Satan, and so I don't see it that way. And reminded me to talk about the fear that is instilled in you growing up in it. But I'm not going to do that right now. Well, maybe I will, because this next topic is about being harmed. Because she just said, I'm sorry that you were harmed by the church. That's an interesting thing to say. I'm sorry that you were harmed. You didn't do it, Jess. No one specifically did it. Just like my sister was telling me, like, she doesn't want to be a victim and she doesn't want to blame anyone. No one specifically harmed me. I allowed myself to get harmed because, well, I mean, I was a kid. I was a little kid. I didn't know, you know? I didn't understand. I didn't. I just did what I was taught because that's what I was taught. I'm glad I was harmed by the church. If I never got harmed by them and didn't have the scars I do, I wouldn't have developed into the open-minded person that I am. So, I'm having anxiety about, like, oh my goodness, is this video even still running? Like, I hope it didn't run out of space on my iPad, but it doesn't matter. If it doesn't get recorded all the way, I'm not going to check it, because I need to talk this for me anyways, not for you, even though this is words that I really do want to have shared, because I know there are other people out there that feel the same way I do. the video ends, then it isn't meant to be. At least not right now. So in being harmed by the church, No, I don't want to talk about that right now. I'm not going to talk about it. Nope. I don't feel like talking about that. The generations of the congregations of the churches we grew up in. I say churches because there are so many of them I experienced that I don't even know all of the specific names anymore. Like, I don't even know what the one my parents go to. I don't know what it's called. I don't remember. I mean, I go to the website sometime to watch like different sermons that my mom says are really good and stuff. Because I am open-minded, and I am really willing to still be open-minded to things. It's just that the stuff that I hear from the sermons and stuff still rubs me the wrong way. So usually I watch a little bit, or sometimes I don't usually make it through all of them, all of the service, but like I still am very open-minded, and I heard it referred to as Armstrongism. That's an interesting terminology. Armstrongism. Herbert W. Armstrong. Armstrongism is still another belief system that I am open-minded to. I was raised in it. I don't necessarily agree with it, but I still respect it. And I really respect the concept of the holy days and the Sabbath and what those represent. They are Jewish traditions, after all, that are ancient. So, I mean, there's a lot of value in them. And I value them just as I do any other thing that I might learn. I just been in it. I grew up in it. So I know that there's a lot more to it than just that. The congregations that we grew up in, they're pretty much all run by old people, just like this country is. Outdated and old. Not that old people aren't valid or shouldn't be respected. I love old people. But to have an organization that is entirely led by old people just doesn't make much sense, because the generations being born today are not the same as our generation. My generation. Mine and Jess and Mary's and Stanley's and Jonathan's. All of our generations. Which are not the same as the baby boomers. There's a lot of different generations. There are a lot of differences amongst all the ages, and all should be valued and appreciated and cared for, just as you say what your cause is for in wanting to bring change. Some taboo bullshit. What? Oh, some taboo bullshit. I don't really use the word taboo, but so I had to look it up what she meant by taboo. Some taboo bullshit, some mental health stigma bullshit, some judgmental righteousness. I hope you like worms, because we just opened up a can of them. I'll let you choose what type of worms. Could be glowworms, could be earthworms, could be parasitic worms, could be pinworms, could be heartworms. Your choice. I really like that a lot of times before I've started this journey of being more open, I would go to Brandon and I'd say, Brandon, can you read this? Can you look at this? Does this sound okay? And I would look for affirmation from other people's opinions to make sure what I was doing was like good or acceptable or sounded appropriate or nice enough or something like that. But now it's kind of like, you know what? I don't need to look for anyone else's approval or affirmation for myself that the message that I sent is like good enough or not too weird or not too harsh or not too dark or creepy or just weird. Like the worm thing, that's totally something I would say, hey, look, we opened up a can of worms. What kind of worms do you want to be? That's what I said to Ethan. I'm like, hey, you're an eggshell. What kind of eggshell do you want to be? Do you want to be a dinosaur egg? Do you want to be a speckled egg? Do you want to be a lizard egg? Do you want to be a bluebird egg? Do you want to be I was going to say a giraffe egg. Giraffes don't lay eggs, Rachel. But so I mean, like, it's just nice to not be afraid Like, hey, if someone thinks I'm weird because I say we opened up a can of worms and I'm gonna let you choose what kind of worms it's gonna be, like, fuck that. I'm gonna be weird. I'm gonna be silly. So I like not second guessing my messages anymore, or like feeling a need to reread them or like reword stuff. I still do, but I'm working on it. I haven't reread them. I don't think I changed anything or reread anything in the Uncle Rick message. Thanks for messaging me and sharing a little bit of your insight. Now that I've written all this, I am doing my best to acknowledge my anxiety about hitting and the send button. But I shall continue moving forward with my don't take things personally attitude and doing my best not to make assumptions regarding what your response to my explosiveness might entail. If there are any spelling errors, whoops. And that's part, like, I was like, oh, I'm so sorry if there's any spelling errors. But I didn't want to say I'm sorry. I don't need to apologize for spelling errors. So I'm working on making sure, like, not saying I'm sorry for things that are trivial, or I don't need to say I'm sorry for something. You are a beautiful person too. I am working on being my truest self and expressing my honest opinions, so here is some of that. I hope you have enjoyed reading my PowerPoint presentation. And then she responded. It's just a short message. We didn't really talk much after that. But she responded with like a little message saying that she accepts me and like she's not offended or anything like that. And what I said back is like, but you didn't choose the worms. And then she chose gummy worms. So I sent her this gift. Oh, let me open it up big. Oh yeah, here we go. Look, this gift of a bunch of gummy worms falling into a taco. I thought that was cute. So I'm glad that she accommodated my worm thingy thing. Okay. I wonder. I'm gonna guess. I have been talking for 36 minutes. Alright, I hope that it didn't cut off for anything. That doesn't matter. Even if it did, I said what I need to say to the air. Just because a video cuts off and it doesn't get recorded doesn't mean that I didn't get out the energies and the words that I needed to get out. So it's completely cool. But I think it did. If I talked 36 minutes, then it's probably still all running and good. Anyways, that was a lot of information. Now I'm thinking about what I'm going to word this one. Probably call it UCG or something like that. So, that's that, I think. I don't know what I'm going to talk about next. There's a lot more regarding this topic that I didn't talk about just because there's a lot. And my brain was everywhere. But if I come back to talking more about my experiences growing up in UCG, then that's cool. And if it takes a long time for me to come back to it, then that's cool too. I love you guys, and thank you again for watching. I appreciate you. And I appreciate you appreciating me for appreciating myself. I appreciate you for appreciating me being myself. Oh, y'all. Alright. Bye, guys.